Boris, can I ask you a simple question that is not a simple question? How are you?
We don't have time to think about how we are. We are all preoccupied with worry, and we've all gotten busy helping our family and friends in Ukraine. It's horrific what's happening. Every day we have very difficult conversations. All of us in the Ukrainian-Canadian community are not just connected to family and friends in Ukraine, but it's generational.
Anastasio, if you think back, do you remember a day or a moment where everything, all of your worlds just started to collide? You started to realize that everything's changed?
Yeah, for sure. It was the first night of the attacks, so last week. I opened Twitter, I couldn't sleep. And there was just one tweet that, there was something happening in Eastern Ukraine, didn't really think anything of it. And then in the span of like 3 seconds, it was just hundreds of tweets with hashtag Ukraine or hashtag Eastern Ukraine, just flooding in. Like, when Twitter updates and it's just like one after the other, that air raids are there and people need to seek shelter. And it was just the most surreal moment, because in that moment, that everything's changed.
And Valerie, what have the last couple of weeks been like for you?
Well, it's been strange to not be able to be sure that your family is safe. For example, it's that's what you're thinking about 24/7. Even have like a roll call that we do at top of day and end of day, that we check the situation of how different regions are doing in our family chat, for example. And in the middle of the night, you wake up and you check how things are doing just to make sure that everyone's all right. I even have an alarm that goes off every 2 hours at night so that I can open my phone and make sure that I don't miss anything important from my family on the ground.
I think the checking of the phone is something that everyone in the community is doing right now. Like, you wake up in the middle of the night, first thing you do is check news alert, Twitter, like a text message, just because you're so worried, and it doesn't matter if it's day or night, it's always on your mind, no matter what you're doing.
I see you both nodding. You're just all checking your phones constantly?
I, in fact, have 2 phones, my regular phone and a secure phone. And I make sure that in the secure phone that should a family member be arrested or killed, and if someone has access to that phone, they won't be able to trace other family members or trace it back.
What is your worst fear?
I have family, I have friends in Ukraine. If anything were to happen to them, that would just be, worst case scenario. But then on a grander scheme, if Putin takes over Ukraine, he's taking over an independent country. We have our own language, we have our own culture, we have our own history. And if he were to take over, he would just be trying to erase all of that.
Valerie, can I ask you, I've only known you for 20 minutes or so, and yet, I can tell this about you, that there is a seriousness to you, but whenever you speak, I also see a glimmer of a smile. And I don't know where that comes from in a time like this.
Well, I think what's part of our culture is to find also something light, something bright that will give you this urge and motivation to continue going forward. What
He's an Odessit.
I'm from Odessa. Odessa is considered to be the capital of humor. We're like it's this culture of happy-go-lucky people that are always able to find something to laugh about, even in the worst situation possible. To me, February 24th is like that moment on 9/11 when all of us knew where we were exactly the moment it happened. The first few days, you're sort of in this. I felt like I was in a fog, for example, and so did a lot of my family members. But however, once a few days have passed and you sort of get the handle of what's going on and you start to understand what's going on, that's when humor starts to kick in, And that's when you're starting to come up with ways to sort of mobilize yourselves through this optimism of that this will be over soon.
Boris, Anastasia, Valerie, everything you have said today, thoughtful and important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.